The release of Street Fighter VI marks a new era for the storied fighting game franchise. This latest entry brings many things. New characters, new takes on old characters, and new mechanics. For the competitive scene, it means new metas, new friends, new rivalries, and new tournaments. Opportunities for players to test their mettle and compete against some of the best. In this series, I will be documenting the tournaments of the early days of Street Fighter VI, chronicling player storylines and an evolving meta, capping off with EVO. This is the Summer of Street Fighter. A few weekends ago, I traveled to New York City to attend Defend the North 2023. The 3-day Brooklyn fighting game tournament features a multitude of games, but I was there mainly for Street Fighter VI. On a rainy Sunday, I went to the venue to watch Top 48. Many top competitors showed up bright and early around 10 to get some practice in before their matches. But pretty quickly, we got into the first match between Green T 321 and Joe Umarogan. Green T would win the first game handily, and would capitalize on some key reads to win the second game and advance to winner's quarters. The next round of winners would be between Porta-John and Necro Undyne. Porta-John would make the JP Chun matchup look 100% Chun favored. As it seemed like no matter how much the JP zoned, Porta-John was able to find a way around it. And would quickly advance to winner's quarters. Necro Undyne would be sent to losers, where he would beat Crispy 117 and then meet up with Joe Umarogan. Joe would win the set 2-1 and would move on to losers round 5. Up next would be DTN Zone, No Need to Talk, versus the DTN Grand Blue champion, Tega. During the first round of the first game, there would be a bit of an unfortunate mishap. But once the stream was back on, we could get into the real games. Lily versus Ryu would be a surprisingly footsies-based matchup, with both players taking games.
Something to take note of. Good awareness, seeing the negativity on the drive rush, able to press through.
But Tega would have the sauce for the usually boring Ryu and would advance on. It was now time for tournament favorite Menard, coming fresh off CEO win, to go up against Masher Mike. Mena would show why he's the tournament favorite by not dropping a game. And would advance to winners quarterfinals. Another potential tournament favorite up next, it would be Xset Idom versus DF Boom. Idom would struggle to get in during this matchup, with a lot of good reads from Boom keeping Idom's approaches down.
Oh man, I've never seen so much salt. Oh, at that perfect, so much salt on the elbow. Excellent, like they say that. Oh no, caught him shimming. caught him looking in the wrong direction. They don't really fly on these streets.
Oh, she about to sing. She's about to sing. Oh my God, one more. That's
The local hero would be unfortunately sent to losers while Boom moved on to winners' quarters.
Go get yours.
gonna be fun too, 'cause I was
Up next was Gentleman Thief versus Legendary Pred.
but also, we haven't been seeing like any Kimberly.
Pred is a very strong Dragon Ball player who'd be trying his hand at Street Fighter.
That's gonna be a big help, but you gotta watch out not only for spray can pressure, but just making sure that you don't let Legendary Pred get to that level 3 anytime soon.
Oh, to quote my favorite YouTuber, Mr. Murrah, amazing Egyptian guy, he's great Street Fighter 6 tech. Follow him on YouTube. When Kimberly gets you in the corner, it's no longer a fighting game. It's survival horror.
100%.
I mean, it's Gentleman Thief's secret technique is enough. No.
One more mistake though, one good poke, and that keeps him alive.
Wow,
Great
what an
reaction.
answer.
He would pick Kimberly for the tournament and would use her great mix of potential to quickly beat Gentleman Thief and move on.
You got dived on.
Oh, okay, and the throw coming through wasn't enough. It was just a pick.
In losers, Idom would beat Hammy and then would move on to play Gentleman Thief.
We just wanted to give you a shot.
Take the round here. You were talking about how even if you lose as Manon in a round, as long as you get medals out of it, that's still essentially a win. Or you could just win, and you could get 3 medals.
Please change the stage.
Please. Oh, he's
it
not
didn't
dead. He's
kill.
not dead. Wait a minute.
Oh, blocks the overhead.
The match would start out very well for Idom and he would take the first set.
Been behind, and then he just makes the comeback. He's so stoic and so.
But for the rest of the match, Gentleman Thief would be in control, getting a lot of key drinks.
Like we said, that spicy water, and he's looking kind of hot right now as he punishes that level 1 as it goes out.
Punished it. She thought she could skate over to the other side of the ring. Watch
One more
ankles.
mistake, Chris.
A drunk Jamie would help him beat the Capcom Cup champion, who was unfortunately knocked out of the tournament. Back in winners, the next match would be Bandits Kaba versus Dual Kevin.
Saw his Rashid, like, taking on the best of the best, like when he had that great run in 2019.
With Kaban, Guile, and Kevin, the Marvel player Luke, this match was a very slow one. Multiple games in the match would go to time, with most of those going in Kevin's favor.
Dual Kevin's going to close it out and win this.
And this gets launched away. I love whoever ended up making that. And also,
But it's better than the combo I said. He got the
But overall, the match would be a slugfest between two very skilled players.
Oh my God, he switched sides! Bro, look to Pixel to advance here. Kaba standing his ground. 2-1, flash kick! Flash kick! Meaning, we kick. No!
With Kevin eventually clutching it out.
that's the game. As Dual Kevin is going to take out.
The final match of Winners Top 48 would be between Liquid Riddles, a well-known Smash player, versus Space Boy on a Luke mirror.
Boy is in the red vest and the red hoodie vest. And Riddles
Space Boy's experience with Street Fighter and with Luke seemed to give him an upper hand, however.
Grab a little bit too
And this knowledge of the character seemed to make this matchup a pretty easy time for him.
dominant first game coming in here for Space Boy. That's going to go ahead and take out that first round. Okay, Space Boy sitting on the 3 bars now, too. One hit confirm, and that's over.
get him again. I mean, Riddles making it really far in the winner's bracket, too, so it's just going to make the loser's bracket all the more lit.
Space Boy would advance to winners' quarters, and meanwhile Riddles would go down to losers to face off against K7 Show Off. K7, more well known for Guilty Gear Strive, would beat Riddles and would move on. Meanwhile, Kaba would beat Melbu, meaning he would advance to now face K7 Show Off.
Finish the job. You know
Could have converted into something there. I mean, in some situations, you could juggle.
Kaba's zoning on Guy would be a big problem for K7, and even when they did get in, Kaba would shut it down.
he saw that coming a mile away. He knew, he's like, yeah, you're so good. But Kaba is he one level up above that. It's like, look, I know what you're going for. You got
For Kaba there. I mean, he's just going to be able to make everything safe on that approach. K7 needs more than some big conversions
Kaba would win quickly and would move on to losers round 5.
to handle EX flash kick. Sharpen it.
The first match of winners quarters to get into top 8 would be between Green Tea and Porter John. Porter John's Chun would once again impress against Green Tea's jury.
She's already like a strong use to go for lows, beat Throwing Invincible. I'm not sure if it's Throwing Invincible in this game, but I feel like it is.
Oh, but a dangerous drop. I feel like he could have kept that combo way more simple. I mean,
He would play her almost like a zoner in this matchup, using her range to keep the jury out.
For a shimmy right there. Portageon didn't bite. Looking for green tea. He got the meter. But yeah, Chun-Li has really some of the best combos from crouching medium kick into drive rush.
His knowledge of this character in this matchup would help him advance to top 8.
Yes, crucial drops. Well, I mean, on both sides there were some crucial drops. Right, we saw some Portageon. With the fifth, right?
The next round would be Tega versus Men-RD, who would be switching to Blanca for this matchup.
The fellow Trinity over drop that he does, it kind of looks like a command grab a little bit. I think that's what he's doing.
Tega would struggle against the Blanca, and it looked like Mena was in control for the whole set.
Nice slide right there. Good reaction time. He has level 2. Well, he goes to...
Mena would win handily and would be the next person to qualify for top 8. Next was Boom versus legendary Pred, and Pred's Kimberly would once again impress. Pred's strong pressure with the ninja character would overwhelm the DJ's defense, and he would also move on to top 8. The final winner's quarter match would be between Spaceboy and Dual Kevin, another Luke Mirror. This Luke Mirror would be very close, with both players taking games. Both players had a strong understanding of the character and how to punish their opponent. But a perfect in the last round of the last game would help Spaceboy move on to top 8. The first round of losers top 8 qualification would be between Tega and Gentleman Thief. Although Gentleman Thief would be able to get a lot of drinks in, Tega's knowledge of Ryu combos would serve him very well. And in a matchup where Ryu could zone out the Jamie, Tega would move on to top 8. More Luke mirrors would come between Joe Morogan and Dual Kevin. Joe's legacy Luke knowledge from Street Fighter V would give him the slight upper hand in this matchup. Although Kevin looked good, Joe would take it and move on to top 8. Next up would be Green Tea 321 versus Bandits Kappa. Green Tea would get the first round win, but after that it would be 100% Kaba.
With the anti-air level 3. Oh, nice. He used the diving to slow himself down. He didn't eat the full damage on that.
No, but this is
He's burned out.
Yeah,
This is very bad.
no punish yet.
The Guile Booms made an impenetrable wall for the jury, and a very strong performance would move Kaba into top 8.
I think it is. Kaba already taking off the headset character, or you think she's not a decent character.
The last match for top 8 qualification would be between No Need to Talk and Boom.
And then it's
Up again. And this is the style that is becoming more popular with Lily. If you do a leg
Both players would look very strong on their respective characters,
fire, the wind-powered one, and you get to actually store up another one.
with No Need having a strong offense with Lily, and Boom using DJ's speed and trick potential well.
Oh, level 3. That might be perfect. Oh, didn't he? Okay, but Boom's out of it. He does have meter. Okay, nice.
No Need's offense would push him over the line, and he would win, being the last person to qualify for top 8. With all the players qualified for top 8, there would be a bit of time before it started, and during that time I would watch Tekken top 8. After Cuddle's very impressive win, it was time for Street Fighter top 8, with the first match, Porter John versus Mena. Porter John's Chan would finally meet its match against Mena's Blanca.
I've seen this before.
You know what that is, right? Gotta take that?
Yeah, looks like it.
No, you don't.
Well, yes, he does. Porter John, I don't know what you were saying earlier up in the camera, but
A perfect to close out game 1, which showed be a tough road for John.
you know what? It happened, and we're almost home there on the burnout. No electrolytes. This is troublesome here. Plus free. No technicals here. We ain't unhanding anything. This is the finish. I need that.
And unfortunately that road would be too much for John, with the mix-up potential of Mena's Blanca getting the best of him. Mena would now move on to winners finals. The second round of winners semis would be between Legendary Pred and Spaceboy. Just like Porter John, Pred would meet a match that would finally shut his offense down. His Kimberly would have a much harder time getting into Spaceboy's Luke. And strong defensive play would give Spaceboy the win. The first round of losers top 8 would be between Kaba and Tega. Guile zoning would look a lot more impressive than Ryu zoning here. And Tega's ability to pull off combos with Ryu wouldn't matter if he couldn't get in. Kappa would make zoning look easy and would move on to losers quarterfinals. The other round of losers top 8 would be between No Need to Talk and Joe Umarogan. This would be a matchup where it seemed like neutral was actually played, and the two players would go back and forth. Even an unfortunate drop couldn't stop No Need to Talk. and the last game would be taken easily by him, moving on to losers quarters. Up next was the legendary Pred versus Kaba.
Look, anybody that can play Street Fighter at a high level can play in any fighting game. That's just what it is, and that's vice versa.
This would be another match of Kaba completely shutting down his opponent's offense.
Oh, that was sneaky, Kyle. I see what you did there.
I wonder what's on her playlist right now. It's probably
Pred on the ninja character would look totally unable to get in versus the Guile.
Jump in. No, there it is. No anti-air
she
force,
can
Kyle.
still slide in. She's not confident.
Gonna hit Dan, Kyle. That was so professional. Yeah. Oh, make it count. Make it count. Give him everything.
Nah, not yet, not yet.
Oh, we out of there.
Nice. Oh, how unfortunate.
I ain't biased. I just call it how I see it, how we see it.
Listen, you got to take your time right now. You're down 2-0. This is a very tough spot to be in, but it's not over. Oh, my.
Ooh, a standing medium kick. It's not that painful, but to your ego it is.
Kaba would flash kick with glee as he put an end to Pred's run and moved on to loser semis. The other losers quarters would be between No Need to Talk and Porter John. The two unorthodox characters would meet up in a very close match.
What a combo. Oh my god. That's it. All right. Survey says next hit, of course, the good old classic. Oh my god. What happened to your light bar? Whoa, no disrespect.
No Need would go up easily 0-2. Porter John would also come back easily, tying the series at 2-2.
Everything. Give him everything.
I'll take it. Oh, Andy's building up that meter. He's building it back.
We got so much cash right here. No one need to
Oh,
stop.
my goodness. So wait.
Get the diamond back. No, not even. I'm
That's
telling
it.
you. No need to talk. It's holding north on
It would go down to the wire in the last set, but No Need would just barely sneak a win with his Lily.
We had a full CA just to make sure. Should've that button. Hold on, we still alive. Wow, the perfect parry. Set it up. Why don't you? No need to talk. Like, you know what? That wasn't the most dominant. I didn't.
Back up to winners finals, it would be Meta RD versus Spaceboy, another Luke Mir.
Wait, it got nothing to do with the match, but just keep that one.
Fine, Butler. All right.
I got you. Damn. For the legs.
Mena, who had won Capcom Cup with Luke, would look like he was totally outclassing Spaceboy, only dropping one game.
Oh, we got cash too, just in case. Oh, 90. I see the Dan drift on this man's scalp. Oh, good check. You try to dash up, throw me back to the corner. Negative. All positive here. Men are on.
He's not allowed to take off.
Oh, what a whip punish. He set him up for that one. He socked him up.
His strong offense with the character would be a big problem for Spaceboy, and he would easily move on to the grand finals. Now in losers semis, it would be time for Kaba versus No Need to Talk.
This man is just trying to show and prove that not only he's one of the strongest, but of course, I would say if we had to.
Kaba would struggle a bit to zone against the Lily, who was able to get in with Condor Spire.
It was EX, so we do recover a little faster than usual. Nice anti-air. Damn, the back forward, back forward.
Is that it? That might be it. I feel like that's it.
I don't think it's over with, but we're gonna have to. Oh yeah, wow. Let me take.
No full
Wow,
animation.
did he change his jump?
Although Kaba would go up 2-1, it would still look like No Need had a chance.
Oh, we're gonna have to make an executive decision here. I thought that was a flash kick.
And a double KO would make that chance look even bigger.
That's how we end.
That's it. Oh, that's it. Let's go.
2-2.
Final game.
No Need would be able to tie it up 2-2.
That's that, bro.
Yeah, I know the
Come
answer,
with
man.
the double. Hit him with the hit him with the skip it. Skip it.
Like the drive reversal, alleviate some of that.
Kaba would find his footing in the last set though, and would be able to zone out the Lily to move on to losers finals.
Went for the low option there on the block gun. Even
In losers finals, he would play against Spaceboy.
offline gameplay, you know what I mean? This is an option. Watch the drive and back. There it is. Good catch.
Yo, every single time I have not.
Oh, caught the dude. Caught him in the right here. He's gonna have to find him.
Another close matchup where Kaba might not be able to zone, Spaceboy would actually go up 1-0. Kaba would tie it,
Not trying to I just think that's so cool.
It just really tells you how dedicated Kaba is to the craft, right? His charge game is ridiculous.
He's
Space Boy's
getting
in his head.
conditioned. That Dan drift is out of this man's dome piece for sure.
but would actually go back down 2-1.
Look at that. Oh, he's hitting the Congos. He's feeling himself.
But just like against the Lily, it would take some time for Kaba to find his footing.
Don't call this doctor.
And in the last 2 sets, he would be able to pull off his game plan of zoning the Luke out, moving on to grand finals where he would meet Mena RD.
Yo, Caba, man, te quiero mucho. Oíste, loco. I love you guys.
The all-Dominican grand finals would see Kaba's Gaio go up against Mena's Luke.
If that's a finish, absolutely.
Kaba would have to reset if he wanted to win.
Oh, we seen the 2-in-1 genius. There is a gap in between that.
And Mena's Luke proved to be a tough opponent. But after reaching a 1-1 tie, Kaba would be able to win the next 2 matches easily, getting the reset he needed.
My goodness. U.S. Open.
Take the throw. Wake up with it. I come up. So, right, was it ready? There it is. No, now we ready. Spend it all. Spend it all. Never be cheap on the first date. Well, this is about like the 5th, 6th date. These guys have seen each other for quite some time. I don't like that you guys are really excited back there now.
The reset would look very Kaba favored, with Kaba being able to zone out Mena's Luke.
Oh, wow. Was too close to comfort, though. That was crazy. If it was a little off, yeah, it would have won.
Hot potato.
He's looking for that soba pick. Oh, roundhouse. He's at that perfect range, too.
He burnt out. Looking for. Oh, they're both tired. They're both fatigued.
Oh, no. Rainbow edition. Hi. Flash kick.
One time for the one time.
We're having a little bit of trouble with that. Technical difficulties here. Men are deep. Oh, what a reaction. That was on the last frame. He don't know who's, see if he drives that back, but he got enough help, though, with all. Oh, spin that. Give him everything. I would have done the same thing. Is that going to kill him? The question. Survey says. Reach your range. So this is tough. Oh my God, chip range. What are we going to do here?
Kaba's tactics would prove very successful, and he would actually win the finals reset 3-0, becoming the Defender North 2023 champion. right, that was Defend the North 2023. That was a really fun tournament. I actually, for one, played a bit better than I thought I would. I won a game. That meant I got to play on stream, which you saw how that went. That didn't go very well. I didn't end up doing very well, but I was impressed that I was able to win a game. With my poor performance out of the way, the tournament was really cool. It was a great venue. I was surprised because New York's New York, but it was really well air conditioned. It smelled really good. It was fantastic. There was a lot, to do inside. There's a really cool arcade area, which I showed some footage of at the very beginning. It was a great tournament. One of the things for this episode that I did was I didn't do pools. And I think that was really smart because this tournament was bigger than SunCal. Tournaments from now on are going to be a lot bigger. And I just don't think pools are really necessary to record. The episode is still going to be pretty long. But not having pools, I think, is definitely a big plus in terms of making the video more condensed in a good way. The actual results were really cool. I think it was really cool. Kaba won. I think a lot of people are high on Guile, but there aren't too many Guile players, at least in North America. Kaba seems to stand out, though. Him and Nugadu, who wasn't at the tournament, but is having really good online results. I think Kaba really proves that, Guile is a really strong character. I think Mena, obviously, was very close to winning, and he's playing two other really strong characters in Luke and Blanca. There was a lot of Luke in top 8, and just the tournament in general, I had so many Luke matches to record. I think it was a bit surprising how Idom finished. I'm not sure, I don't want to make any assumptions about what happened. It didn't look great, and I really would have liked to see him go farther. But yeah, I feel like I'm in a groove now. I understand how to do it. I'm currently gonna leave for Evo pretty soon after recording this, and I think that tournament's gonna be really fun. The Get on My Level episode is, I'll work on it when I get back, and then work on the Evo episode. Fortunately, there were no interviews. I sent DMs out right as there was a change made to Twitter DMs where you had to be verified to essentially just send DMs, which really sucked. So I couldn't do any interviews for this episode, and the episode still ended up being really long. But overall, I was really happy with the tournament. I think I'm refining my editing process for this video because one of my big problems was that the SunCal episode, it took so long to get all the Twitch clips. I really found a groove in doing that. Having a lot of it on YouTube too helped a bit. So yeah, we're slowly working. We're slowly getting better. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I hope people leave likes and comments and subscribe and hit the bell notification, all the YouTuber things I have to say. And yeah, I'll see you next time.